Alright, let me introduce you to scalar multiplication of matrices. So if this is the first time that you're hearing about scalar, just take note that scalar just means a constant and scalar multiplication is just meaning multiply by a constant. So if a matrix is multiplied by a scalar k, then every element would be multiplied by k. For example, if my A is PQRS and if I multiply it by a constant k, then every element will be multiplied by k. So we will have this formula. So we come to practice now 3 on page 153, and take note that these questions are quite simple, but you just need to be very careful. So first part, 3a plus 2b, I'll be very careful to put what is my A and what is my B. I have carefully transferred my answer for matrix A and matrix B, and I'll first write it in this format. What you have to do next is to simplify each term by using scalar multiplication. So if I put a 3 and a 2 in front of A and B respectively, then I'll be multiplying every element in A by 3 and then multiplying every element in B by 2. Hopefully you're able to write down the second step. Now I just need to add the elements together. Please check your final answer and make sure that every element is correct. Let's do the same for part 2. First, I will sub in my B and A matrix. After rewriting the matrix, now we are ready for scalar multiplication. Multiply the first matrix by 4 and multiply the second matrix by 3. So this is my second step, and I'll be very careful to avoid any careless mistakes. And finally, we'll write our final answer. Now we just need to do subtraction of the elements. This is my final answer. Just check that every element is written down correctly. Come to the second question where I'm finding my value of x and of y. Let's start with part A. Part A, are you able to write down two equations? One for x and one for y? Notice how x is in the first row and first column, whereas for y is in the second row, first column. Maybe some of you will need to do this step. After scalar multiplication, you'll realize that we will have this equation, and then now I can clearly write down my two equations. Negative 2x plus 4 equals 18 is the first equation, and negative 2y plus 2 equals negative 6 is my second equation. And then I'll solve for x and y. My x is negative 7 and y is 4. And for some of you, it's possible to actually find x and y without writing this first equation. So the first one is not necessary. If you look at part B, you realize that x is in the first row and second column, whereas for y is in the second row and second column. So technically, I just have to look at these two positions. Is it manageable to see that these two are the equations that we need to find x and y? If you can, please continue to find your x and y. If not, my guideline would be to write down the first equation, which will look like this, and then I can see that 2x plus 4 will give me 15, and 2x minus 2 will give me 42. So either way, I'll still be able to write down my final answer. X is 5.5 or 5.5, and y equals to 22. And this is the end of scalar multiplication video.